does it feel like to be love? And you've done identity work and you get glimpses of that lightness, but then you snap back into the old. Well, that's, actually, not to like talk about the book right away, but in the third part of the book, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is that when that old costume that we've been wearing, that old mask, it disconnects us from who we are and from love and from the world and creates all kinds of problems. When it tries to sort of reestablish its own position, its own control, there is a period of practice, just like working out a muscle, working out a brain cell, anything. There are a few iterations of consciously returning to that place of connection that are necessary in order for that to become the dominant state. What it actually feels like when it has become a dominant state is your heart is open and there's joy, there's excitement, there's lightness, things that are not aligned with that truth, that grounding inside of you are perceived. You're not blind to them. You can see a sadness, you could see a bad thing, you could see anything, but it doesn't stick. You could see past all of the noise, including the noise in other people. For example, if I am in that state of love, meaning I am not trying to escape myself, I don't have to do anything to return to myself. I'm home. That's what it feels like, home. I am looking at my daughter, say, and my daughter thinks I'm the cause of her problems and she's screaming at me and because I said no to going out. Or I asked who is going to be driving you back home. That happens. And I see the truth of who she is. I see that I'm challenging her desire, her world. I see that she's upset because she's worried about doing something that her friends want to do with her. I see that in her world, I am the cause of her problem. And I'm not taking it seriously because I know I'm not the cause of her problem. And I know I don't need to prove to myself that I'm a good mom in order to return back to that place. So I know she's powerful. I know she's resilient. And I know that I am who I am. And I just stay in that place. That's what it feels like when I am really free. Now, you're talking about is something, of course, I go through every time I break through another layer. There is that period of time, just like I said in the beginning, of getting more grounded in that clarity, in that lightness. What it usually feels like, you might lose the experience part of it, meaning the noise that is still present from the old conditioning will obscure some of the experience, some of the bubbly, light, happy, whatever. But one thing that will remain, if you have questioned these layers enough to where you are like, okay, see something real about myself and about this, I am connected to love, you will notice a disconnect rising up in you from the parts of yourself that are still very much at play. First of all, just like I talk about in the third part of the book, not only are these parts in play because, your whole system was wired for survival, for efficiency, right? So that's where your mind's going to go first, right? To that disconnected state, to that reaction. Not only that happens here, it's easier, it's faster to jump on the wagon of that old reaction. But also, as I talk about in the book, and this is something I don't talk about enough here on TikTok, but there's this magical property of your consciousness, right? Of pulling in everything that proves itself right. So your old reality is still very much infused and populated by all kinds of proof that that old conditioning is true. And so when that proof comes in, the conditioning is right there ready to say, yeah, see, look, the world really does work that way. You really shouldn't be sitting here all happy and enlightened and loving the world. You should really fix it. Now, the enlightened or the love knows that it's not inactive. It can say no. It can fix things, but it does not fix out of reaction for its own sake, right? So that's what it feels like when you still haven't really yet detached completely from these thoughts. It feels like you have a choice. That, oh, it looks surreal. Like I'm in a movie theater. All of a sudden, I'm overwhelmed with special effects of my thinking. But I could see that I have a choice. I can see there's a part of my awareness that is on the point where I'm home. I don't have to leave this place. And I know they're home. And you know what? I'm going to take the word of my awareness for this. It doesn't have to feel warm and fuzzy for me to be love. I am just love. While the bowl, sometimes, we compare the mind to the bowl with dust at the bottom of it. And if somebody stirs the dust, the water becomes cloudy. Well, if your awareness is that you're the bowl, or the hands holding the bowl, or however deep you want to go, then all you have to do is just allow the dust to settle. You might not be able to see your own, your own self in the moment because things are so cloudy, but you're not the dust. You know that you're not reaction. Of course, sometimes I can't tell the difference between me and the dust, me and the heaviness, and then I just put it through questioning one more time. I question the part in me that has an issue with things the way they are. I listen to its complaints. I give it a name. I release it. And, that's the process. This is what the book is all about. Check it out. I know you have it, but everybody else who's listening, I'm going to tag it here. It is available here on TikTok Shop. And for now, all the books are signed. Later on, I'm going to be changing warehouses, and they may not be, but for now they are.